In this field of food and design, because now we are lucky and honored to get here with us for the World Food Design Day Martí Guixé, who was the one who was inspiring all of us that now we do this job, and because yours was the first book that maybe we got in our library and we could read about what does it mean food and design together. And here today you are representing the School of Scuola Politecnica di Milano, the Master in Food Design and Innovation. And so I leave the stage to you, Martí, to tell us about your project and of course give us an idea about what you do and what you think it can be the future of all of those food designers that goes to school. First of all, thank you for being here again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sonia. You hear me, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So let me share the screen. I know you can see my screen, right?
We do.
Okay. So I will do a presentation which is called I Love Bees, and I do it in behalf of the SPD, the Scuola Politecnica di Design di Milano, regarding the Master of Food Design. This presentation also I have to say that it's I have done it previously in January this year for aristeu.org, which is an organization that cares about bees. The presentation starts now. So I love bees. This is IBM started as a company in 1924, and as you know, is a huge company dedicated to create inventions on machines and computers. In the context of trying to make IBM more humanistic and more young, they asked Paul Rand to design some alternative logo, and he created this rebus in 1981, which in which he changed the letter I with an I, the B letter with a B, and the M remains like the logo. The logo, it's very interesting because the I represents also the person, looking at the world. The B is a perfect representation for a big company in which you have one person, which is, let's say, an old school company, one person doing the CEO and a lot of workers working for the company. It's also interesting because the bees are in our imaginary animals that they are working continuously, but not only producing honey, but also pollinating and allowing us to have all these fruits in the trees. This is a rebus, a logo that is still used today to create empathy for the company, and is also in the collection of the MoMA in New York. That was in 1981. But let me see if I can change this slide. Sorry. Previously, in 1977, Milton Glaser designed this famous and well-known logo, I Love New York. It was a commission from the art director of the New York City, who decided to create a logo to attract tourists in a city that in the 70s was very degraded, with a lot of delinquents and dirty. And the art director of New York asked a communication company, and the communication company asked Milton Glaser to do the logo. The logo is done with a typewriter font, and it's very simple. It's a hair to symbolize love. I love you, New York. This is very popular and very much imitated. So with these two logos, I did this third logo, which it's as you see, it's I love bees. For me, it's interesting because the eye still represents the person. Love, it's of course something that it gives you empathy, and the bees represent all the work, the pollination in a way, the thing that it's done. So I would refer to the logo to say that the eye, it's in the context of design, is our world as we see, as we shape, as we can imagine. And the bee represents the plot. The plot, it's the story or the sequence of events that the bee is doing to pollinate or to take the honey. And it's also an animal that moves, and it's, in a way, it represents very well this thing. Of course, if we think in design nowadays, it has to be sustainable because we have plenty of problems with our world. I think it has to be also cult. So I don't believe it has to be pop, or it has to be, in a way, it has to be something special. So something relevant. And of course, it has to be contemporary, so it needs to be contextualized in our present world. If you think in a plot as a sequence of events, we have to see it in a way of that we need to create activism, we need to do things for the world. It's a kind of action or kind of history that we need to create or develop or build. And of course, nature plays a big role in general nowadays. So it's something that it has to be taken in context. That's the two main things. And what I get from these main things in the middle is empathy. So empathy, I think it's something that appeals a lot to the people, and it's something that it could be built. So with this, we can create an object. We can create an edible object, and this is composed of two things: the aura of the object and the object selves. And from these two things, we have the aura, which is relevant, and we have the object that it's irrelevant. So, and that to say that food design allows you to create projects on edible objects that deal with complexity, with the complexity of our society, and this complexity can only be managed through the project of design. Thank you.
I love it, Martí. I really love it. You gave us in a slide the entire concept of food and design together. I love, not for like quoting you with this love with B, but I love the fact that you decided to take the B's as a key concept, because I think the biodiversity that we are talking every day, it's a complex issue, and it's a crossing of different narratives. We got the cultural narratives and the biological, let me call it, narratives from the other side. So every time we have to search to make our project, it's like to be you know, kind of explorer, that we need to find the hidden part, and you gave us a kind of map, like if we go through a forest, we need to find it, and this is exactly what we have to find. So you gave us a lecture, but you gave us also a toolkit that maybe we can use it, right? Or we can actually propose it. Let me ask a few questions before the ending of this lot, because you are part of the master, you're teaching students who will receive a degree, where inside of this degree there is this name. You are now a food designer, okay? So what kind of suggestion you want to give to someone that does have this in the degree, and actually after the master are in the job market, and of course they will be competitors also. I mean, they know what maybe they want to do, they don't know how yet, but they were actually very inspired by many professors, many projects they made. So there is any suggestion you can give to those students, real suggestion for real life, I want to say?
Well, I would say that it's very important, this idea of the project, in that case, the project of design. And that's the thing that allows you to deal with this complexity and with this a lot of things. And I think that food has to be politicized, so that social issues can enter inside, because we are speaking not about some nice thing that you eat and tastes good, but we are speaking about the sources, the agricultural sources, in which context, how is the people who work in the context, also packaging, and not only that, but also the nutritional effects that can shape your body in some ways. And all this complexity, it has to be introduced in the project when you are projecting food.
Did you see any changes in the approach of the students in those 5-6 years? I believe you met many students, right, in the past 5 years. Did you see any changes, something that surprised you, or maybe this is something that you would like to point it out?
Yeah, I would say that it's very interesting for me, because the master gives you a very 360-degree view of what it's about food. It's not about cooking, it's about understanding how you present food, how you write about food, how you name it. So there's a lot of things that they are present in the master in a generalistic way, but that gives you the background to affront real projects in the future with a security that you know exactly how works this specific world. So the problem that we have in the food in general is that the people are very specialists, and they are not speaking between them. So they are still inside their small blocks. And I think the food designer is a person that can put these different specialist areas together to create projects based on food. Of course, if you, it depends, you need to be a good food designer.
This is actually, it's the best suggestion you can give the people. Be the best, so definitely you will not have problem. So thank you so much, Marty, for your time, for giving,
thank you, Sonia,
for giving us those words, and also the proof of the fact that those collective process that Jasper was mentioned, they can be designed. So we can really design to make it those collective process available. So thank you so much. And we are jumping to the next project. I'm going to invite on the stage our next speaker, who is actually